Hi, Ede Zanetti. This goes to, of course, everyone in Brazil and Latin America, but especially to my friends in Africa and Asia Pacific. It's about CDRs and tropical forests fighting climate change 1 cubic meter at a time. There is an ongoing call from the UNFCCC Supervisory Board to comment on the sturdy meeting of the Article 6.4 mechanism. And I'm sending the linkage to the call here, so you guys have 4 days up to the 27th of October to send your comments. It's covering the draft recommendations on removal activities under the Article 6.4 and the mechanism, of course, and requirements for the development assessment of mechanism methodologies. It is the time for presenting Southern Hemisphere and developing countries proposals to foster our low-carbon industry within our countries, one that can generate jobs, income, and remove atmospheric CO2 for the wellness of the environment. We can produce large quantities of carbon-based products from the smoke of fuels and coal, turning them into useful goods for society, the CDRs and CDUs. CDR, carbon dioxide removals, are products that removes atmospheric CO2 and change it into products with long lifespan to society. At the tropics, there are large availability of hardwoods, the ones with the largest lifespan between timbers, which make them very attractive to consumers wishing to have long-term wood at their homes, offices, or industries. The consumption of tropical timber products would help reduce the overall carbon footprint of construction globally, supplying woods with large lifespan, enhancing the society's stocks of carbon. Tropical forest productivity is directly linked to silvicultural practices. The School of Forestry was born out of the realization that lefting forests tends to regenerate by themselves or unexploited resulted on their doom. Increasing productivity is a way to remove atmospheric CO2 and transform it to industrial and energy wood that can reduce overall global emissions towards consumption. When we are consuming enough, it will sustain a permanent cover on forest side, assuring permanence of carbon way over the 100 years that is required by current methodologies. Current stocks of 100 billion cubic meters of dying mature trees ready to be harvested on the Brazilian Amazon region alone have the capacity to remove close to 100 billion tons of CO2 from the atmosphere just by turning them into timber and having new trees planted. This would also generate millions of jobs and trillions of dollars in revenue over the next decades. Tropical forests hold capacity to regenerate after harvesting, and the much this would mean is directly related to silvicultural practices, which will impact global greenhouse gas balance positively. Undisturbed tropical forest sites over the last 50 years lost between 15 and 25% of total volume of trees to secondary invasive vegetation, which is much more competitive, making them net emitters of CO2. When this behavior is kept in the next 50 years, tropical sites are going to lose other 15 to 25% of its volume to the increasing volume of secondary vegetation. With these large protected areas and isolated areas in the Amazon region in Brazil, kept and managed as they are, we should lose between 30 and 50% of trees up to 2100. So if you compare this with the managed tropical forest and the plantation of tropical native species. So we will have 50% less volume. The CO2 fertilization is uptake much faster by secondary vegetation, and trees are losing their competitiveness yearly. Without harvesting and silvicultural treatments, they are to vanish. Harvesting and consumption of tropical timber products stimulates productivity, reverting the degradation process due to increase of secondary invasive species volume, and generate profits, helping to reduce deforestation. Therefore, tropical timber is a value-added CDR that can reduce degradation and deforestation while increasing CO2 removals. We need to have production and consumption of tropical timbers within the framework of accepted CDRs for the global carbon market development. And also, of course, within our countries for our national determined contributions. Countries need to have annual quota of tropical timbers. Developed countries need to have annual quota of tropical timber products purchased in order to contribute to halter forest degradation and land use change and promote increase of carbon stocks within their societies. The more tropical timber is consumed, the better for the climate. The same goes for all tropical agriculture and pasture products, which are CDUs and CDRs, resulting from uptaking atmospheric CO2 and turning them into usable goods for humanity. Now is the time to submit proposals like this to the Supervisory Board third meeting and prepare joint statements to COP27 so we can further promote a common carbon market initiative between South-South cooperation and channelize funding towards a low-carbon industrial development for our countries. Let's get together as a planet and move forward into solving this global crisis from the north with carbon-based products from the south. Thank you. I hope this helps on the discussion.